Hello, I'm Dr. Garrett Castleberry, a professor of communication at Mid-America Christian University and one of the team of architects behind the communication course, Media Methods and Content Creation. Media Methods and Content Creation is part of our communication graduate emphasis. And we're very excited about how it pairs not only with a small handful of other common courses, but also works to serve other majors and degree paths. And that's where it's really exciting. The COMM partnership with the School of Business has been a fruitful one, and we want to be conscientious of not only the ways that we're instructing students about communication, but how those communication takeaways, the concepts, the content we tackle, the projects we develop can aid other degree pursuits, other professional trajectories, and we firmly believe that that is the case with this course. And I simply want to provide an introduction, an overview to that idea. Now, as I've already shared with the class through perhaps some written posts or maybe even the general syllabus, we have several goals in this course, but not too many. We believe that students should be able to tackle them and handle the multitasking as it comes at us in this course. Well, first and foremost, as the course title suggests, there's two different specific tracks we want to understand. This is what we consider a methods course. Methods can be thought of as tools, perhaps intellectual tools, depending on the types of theoretical information you're dealing with, but also tools in terms of problem solving, in terms of tools that we can use to do things, to develop certain knowledge or skill sets. And we hope to demonstrate that through some of the projects we're going to tackle in the course. But let's stick to the idea of methods. And so it's really important. It's actually foundational, if not at an undergraduate level, certainly at the graduate level, that students should encounter a methods course. Now, it's very traditional. Students would encounter a theory course, a methods course, and a history course, a kind of history of the field or history of the discipline you're studying. So these represent three core areas that all students should encounter at some point in educational process. And so we're excited to be able to house some study of methods in this course. Now, we try to limit the trajectory of our methods exploration for a couple of reasons. One, you can get much deeper into alternative methodologies in alternative courses that are hitting closer to home. So for our purposes, we're going to be looking at qualitative methods in this, and as we move later into the course and start to make more subjective decisions on our projects, we're also going to look at some critical methods, some critical tools, all right, for our tool belt. And so to help us, I'm going to preview the two main textbooks or academic books that we're requiring for the course, but there will be some additional reads, some additional materials that we share access to, kind of point you toward their access points are, ideally locating texts that aren't going to rev up costs, but in this instance, we firmly believe in what you'll get out of each of the following. All right, and so the first is going to be something that's closer to a textbook. We generally try to step further back away from textbooks unless we find they're absolutely essential to what we want to achieve. Well, in this case, in this methods course, this is absolutely going to aid our process. Is qualitative inquiry and research design, choosing among 5 approaches by John Cresswell and Cheryl Poth. And this is a 4th edition. Now, if you come across, this is classic grad school 101, if you happen to come across an earlier edition, maybe a 3rd or something, or perhaps in the future, these things, sometimes they're really fast, sometimes they're really slow. You know, there's a 5th edition some point. I think you're going to be able to make it with what you acquire, but if it sets you back in some way, information-wise, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to look in for clarity. I'm sure your instructors are going to want to help you with that. And so this is not just the front end book that we're going to lean heavily into, but it's really going to set the pace for widening our understanding. And qualitative research is helpful, not just in general. It's a problem-solving tool, but it can equip us. It can equip us not just to be researchers. And I think a lot a misnomer, right? A common perception is that methods courses, just like theory courses, simply exist to service that narrower focus on research, right? Academic or scholarly research, right? As many people believe being the primary focus of academics. Now, for some academics, that absolutely is true. But in this instance, we want to help examine the utility, right? The utilitarian service that these methods can provide for you, whether this is the end of your degree pursuit and the beginning of something else. All right, and so we're looking to help you understand that way. Well, as you know, we're going to get into some projects, but they're going to be steered intentionally and specifically on your creative ideas. All right, that's where we get into this notion of content creation. We believe in the 21st century is our economy is largely driven, particularly in the last few years, by original content, by entrepreneurship, and that all brands, whether they're established or incoming, need to forge clear and concrete identities. And a lot of these identities are forged in digital spaces. Well, the labor represented to fill these gaps and to establish strong brands, whether it's an individual person or a corporate entity, is the creation of content, right? So this is a professional term that we're putting into an academic circumstance. This idea of content creation is a practice, it's a verb, but it's also a noun, right? There are many content creator positions. So we're just recognizing both those things exist. They're not mutually exclusive to our purposes. That is to say, we're not talking about maybe one or the other. It's about context. It's about what we're doing in the moment, and how we're discussing it. Well, as we develop original content, we're going to push you all to create your own programs in the form of a podcast pilot, and we're going to work through these practices in some dynamic ways that I'm very excited about. And to help us out, we have this book coming up a little bit later, and that's going to be Marcel Danisi's Understanding Media Semiotics. It's the second edition of that text, and you'll hear some interplay between the term semiotics and semiotics. I think there are different camps that use the terms or pronounce, and not use terms, but pronounce terms differently, and that's okay. But that's going to be a helpful text as we start to get into that kind of conceptualization and creative side of the course, kind of in the back end of things. But this is a strong author. We've used a different book by them in an undergrad class or two in the past, and it's been one of the more popular authors that tends to resonate their writing style with a lot of students, and so we wanted to investigate the value there to see if we could locate that through this book. But those are a couple of primary reads as well as an introduction to the course. All right, and that's an exciting way to kick off this media methods and content creation and understand that background and connection that we seek to make between the study of methods, tools, but also the utility of using them to solve real-world problems. Look forward to tackling this content and these materials with you and hearing about your ideas. Thank you for listening.